Cornelius Dufallo, your piece Paranoid Symmetry is going to be on Cutting Edge Concerts, and I'm very excited to be presenting it. And I wanted to ask you about it. It's a piece for yourself, playing not electric violin, but acoustic violin that's amplified. And, and you're doing all sorts of wonderful special effects with that.
Right. So it's an amplified acoustic violin with a pickup, and I'm doing digital effects and loops too. And then I will be accompanied by an ensemble that's of piano, violin, cello, clarinet, flute, and percussion.
And it's the Great Noise Ensemble that's going to be...
members of, yeah.
Right, exactly. And when you're writing for yourself, of course you know what you like to play and what you like to do. Is there any improvisation involved in this? Or?
Yes, there will be. For me especially, but I'm also going to incorporate a little bit of improvisation for the ensemble, but structured improvisation, so there'll be pitch material available to them. And
tell us a little more specifically about what they will see and how much freedom they will have.
Oh, okay. Well, a lot of it will be just written out in standard notation, but then there'll be some sections that have boxes of pitch material without rhythms specified.
The pitch material meaning notes,
notes,
right?
Yes, notes, pitches.
Yes.
And so I'm interested in the rhythms and counterpoint that they will produce spontaneously. And
will you be directing this from the solo spot at all?
I suppose a little bit at first, just because it's my piece, but in the end I would like it to be a very collaborative effort.
And you do this naturally as a member of Ethel, which is a group that does a great deal of improvisation. And for a classical string quartet, classical in quotes, because Ethel has certainly expanded the meaning of a string quartet, this is something that I remember when you first became the concertmaster. Are you calling it concert? First violin.
Just a violinist.
Just a violin. Yeah. Okay, just a violin with Ethel. That was really must have been a very interesting experience for you, not only as a player but as a composer.
Sure. Yeah, and that connection between improvising and composing is fascinating to me as well. And writing for myself versus writing for other people is a very interesting sort of dialogue too. So I'm enjoying that process as well. Most of the composing I do is for myself, but I really do enjoy writing for others as well. So.
Right. And in this particular piece, Paranoid Symmetry, the title itself is very provocative. Could you tell us a bit about what the piece is about?
Well, yeah, it's about paranoia, and the symmetry is really the logic, which is a sad logic connected to paranoia. We create, on a cultural level, paranoia, fear of the enemy, and fear of terrorists, and fear of crime, and all these things, and I think it's very sad. But at the same time, I can see, I've done some reading, I can sort of see that there is this sad logic behind it, why there's kind of an emotional and psychological reason why people create imaginary fears. And even though it's sad, it makes sense on a certain level. And so my piece is a little bit about the sadness and the sad logic of paranoia, and mainly on a big picture scale.
And in terms of the way you are bringing that into being as a composer, is there is it the soloist against the ensemble?
There are moments where the soloist is against the ensemble, and there are moments where the soloist is kind of buried in the ensemble. So there's an interesting relationship between the individual and the group. And the symmetry, is also represented musically.
How are you representing that musically?
Well, I'm trying to represent that as musical symmetry, which means material coming back later in the piece, and also relationships between structural relationships in the piece itself. But although the piece is pretty sad, I'm ending it on a note of hope. I'm ending it with a digital loop that I created as a kind of a lullaby for my daughter. So because I believe that, you know, when we connect with people, when we look into the eyes of another being, then the feeling of insignificance or fear becomes negated, you know. And I think that is sort of the hope that I have for humanity.
And also being a father and having a small child, that is the future.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And how does your daughter react to your playing?
Oh, she likes most of it, but sometimes she just wants me to stop playing the violin because she
critic.
She wants me. Well, there are other things that are more important, you know, like
eating.
Well, and playing.
Right. Yeah. Great. Well, we look forward to hearing your piece, and thank you so much for talking with us.
Thanks.